Hey guys, I'm back again. And today we have a very special guest that I'm excited to share with all of you. And you guys have already seen this guest on my channel a few times now, but you were requesting him to come back. And I'm so happy. You know, it's funny. The people that watch this channel, you guys really do have you guys can sense good people. There have been times that people have emailed me and said, you know, that person was really awesome. Like that person was really down to earth and very genuine. And there's been a few times that you guys have emailed me some other things that you noticed on some people I've had on the channel, like them interrupting and things like this. And you guys didn't request them to come back. So, yeah, without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest on here and we are going to let this guest tell us what they've been up to the last several years that we haven't really seen much from them. So, here they are. Hi,
Hey,
Chris.
hello there. Yes, hi.
So good to see you.
Good to
It's
see
so
you too.
good to see you. What have you been up to? Is it cold and rainy over there or what?
Yes, it is quite cold out here. It is raining, but hey, regardless of that, it's still a good day. Yes.
So I don't know if everyone remembers Chris. If you're new to the channel, Chris came on our channel a few times to tell us some stuff that was going on. You're just a great storyteller. And the last time I know you came on, you were telling us some stories about some of the wacko narc stuff that these people can do. And you know, and you know, it's like the thing I love about you, and I know everybody else does too, is like we can laugh about some of this stuff because sometimes it's like, what else are you gonna do, right?
Yes, right.
You have to laugh and find some humor in it all. I mean, I'm not saying that this is always funny, but if you can sort of, you know, look back at the things and tell the stories and, you know, shake your head like, man, what was that all about?
Yes.
Tell us what you've been up to. We're dying to know.
Well, okay. Things have changed quite a bit since the last time I appeared on here. I remember I had that job I told you about, working for Martin Brower. I was a yard jockey. I moved trailers in and out of doors and stuff, basically for the warehouse workers to actually, you know, fill up the trucks. You know, pretty much it was a food distributor for McDonald's restaurants, right? Remember I told you about that?
Yes. Yep.
Well, honestly, that job started to get kind of very political in a lot of different ways, a lot of backstabbing behind the scenes, and it's just a lot of changing of hands with management. And so, you know, when you get a new set of management, you got people that want to reinvent the wheel and make it worse. And so it was getting to be where it was getting so toxic because a lot of times they were pinpointing me because I was the youngest guy on the crew. And they wanted to have a bunch of different separate rules for me compared to everybody else every single time. And they were trying to.
Haven't we all been there at one point? So I know exactly what you're describing when you're the new guy.
Yes, and I had got to a point where I ain't gonna lie to you, Trace. I had got to where I was starting to lose myself. I noticed that, especially in the year of 2023, I got to the point where I was kind of slowly losing myself. I was losing that beam of light that's naturally within me, that smile that I usually had, and I noticed that I was turning into something that I did not like. I did not like that type of version of Chris. So I said, you know what? I really need to find something else. But by that point, the heat was turning up even more for this job, and management was trying to find even more sneaky, dirty ways or tricks to try to get me out of the building. Like, for instance, like when I first got to this job, I was supposed to be trained as a full-fledged truck driver, but instead they had decided to keep me in the position of a yard jockey without any drive time on the road. And so I was kind of still new to driving on the road because I basically would stay inside of a property for 12 hours each time.
Right.
And so what they were trying to do, Trace, is they had this happened in February, and they had told me, say, hey, Chris, we need you to go ahead and do a rescue run over in St. Charles, Missouri. We need you to go rescue a driver. And it was like around 11 o'clock at night. I said, well, okay, is there somebody that's going to go with me? They said, no, you're going to go by yourself. I said, guys, you haven't given me any drive time on the road or anything. You haven't even trained me even how to even use the lift gates or the equipment worth anything. I've been here for over 2 years and you have not done any of this. I've been asking you to train me on the road, but you've done none of these things. And now you're expecting me to go ahead and go to a place I've never been before at night by myself. I don't think that's a safe idea. That's not
No.
safe for me. It's not safe for people on the road.
No.
And so what they did, they used this opportunity to say, well, you know what? If you don't do this, we're going to have problems. I said, look, I don't feel safe to do this. Can we please have somebody go with me? Can we appoint somebody else who is actually more trained to do this? I said, no, how about this, Chris? We're going to go ahead and send you home with no pay. And we want you to come back tomorrow 2 hours before your shift so we can have a talk. So I went ahead and went back. I went back the next day, and I had the manager was basically trying to scream at me, yell at me, tell me that I'm a sorry piece of crap and I'm not good at my job and that nobody on the job has any faith in me. The warehouse workers don't like me. And he just went down a huge whole list. And I'm sitting there. And the funny thing is, though, I didn't get back and start trying to snipe back and forth with him.
Yeah, you know,
I
it's
just
not
kept
worth
my
it.
composure. It's not worth it. No, it's not worth losing my character over this. But I did ask him, I said, you know what? Let me ask you this. If this is all so true, how in the world have I been able to hold on to this job for 2 years, over 2 years? How can I have done that if this is all true? He says, well, we just didn't want to tell you. I said, well, that's pretty ridiculous on your part to keep somebody in place in a position that sucks so bad and they're costing you thousands of dollars, like you say. Why would you do this? That's not very smart on your part, don't you think? He
You know,
says, anyways, Chris, he says, anyways, if you say no to us ever again, you're going to lose your job. Okay. Trace, I went ahead and worked that shift and got done with that. And I just had made my decision. I had sent him an email and I said, hey, I just wanted to tell you thank you for everything. I thank you in the business for everything that you guys have provided for me. You've given me a lot of experience of what to do and what not to put up with. And I just want to tell you this is my resignation and you have a good day.
good. Good for you.
Immediately within 30 minutes after sending that email, he gave me a call, 5 times in a row, Trace, 5 times in a row within an hour, and then sent me a message saying, call me back ASAP. I gave him no reply. I didn't give him any reply, nothing.
Oh my God, that reminds me. You just reminded me. I almost forgot that right around 2020, when the whole pandemic happened, I was still working for the business I used the type of work I used to do before, which was vocational work for people who had disabilities. And to make a long story short, it was a person I had worked with at the old company I worked for started another business, and she was awful. She didn't know what she was doing. She'd send me on all the things that she didn't want to do, all the runs she didn't want to do, all the pickups, all the stuff that they didn't want to do. And then they wanted me to teach a vocational class, which is something I had done over a decade. And then they wanted to sit in the class, her and her partner, and critique everything I was doing. So the best part was when I got enough clients, I did exactly what like I literally just wrote, guys, they were writing all this stuff of like everything they wanted me to do. And I wrote back to this like long email they put, and I wrote, guys, I made a decision and you're not a part of it. And
Yes.
then the same thing, they were like emailing me, like, can we talk about this? Nothing. Like you blew it. You blew it, you know? And that was the
Yes.
last people I worked for. But yeah, you get to that point, right? It's just like wow. And you can just tell these people were narcs by the way they're talking to you. Like
Yes.
condescending like this. Like you're such
Yes.
a narc. You're a
Yes.
controlling crazy narc.
And the guy who was low rated me and stuff in that meeting and stuff, his name is Mark, and he has a mask that he would wear. He has this good guy mask type of thing and stuff going on. He plays off of the church boy, the good church boy act and stuff. He does that a lot. But when a movie comes down to it, and so when he shows his true face, he's a completely different person.
Yep. So then what happened? So now you're out of a job. So were you like I didn't know any of this was going on.
Yeah, I know. And
Oh,
I had left that job on my last day was on February 10th of this year. And so I had a little bit of time. I was trying to find a different job that would be kind of close, that played a little bit close to my strengths. I was trying to find another yard jockey position, but you see, they're so sparse in between where I live at and everything. I didn't have any luck with that. So unfortunately, what happened was I got a little bit behind on my bills, and I finally got a job again, which was Walmart. I went right back to Walmart in April. But you
yeah.
see, because I had left on such great terms with Walmart, I just simply walked in and I spoke to the manager. I said, "Hey, I'm in need of a job. Is there any way you could possibly let me get this?" And Trace, because I had such a good rapport with everybody there, I had got that job within the next week. The following week, I got that job.
Sweet.
And so, but the thing is, though, it was a triumph in that regard of being able to get on the job. But the problem was, I went from making $28 an hour to a mere $14 an hour. So, needless to say, I was not able to keep up with things like I really wanted to do to get caught up on things because I was already kind of behind. And so what ended up happening is I had to kind of give up that place I originally had. I had to give up that apartment. I had to leave that apartment back in July, actually. And I had to stay with some people. I had to stay with the first person I moved in with. His name was Mike. Now, I can tell you about this situation right here. Oh, my goodness. At first, I thought, he's like, you can go ahead and move in with me, man, and we can split the bills good, and we can get things going. You can get back on your feet, and you'll be able to save some money. I said, great, but that's not how it happened. You see, Mike has a huge drug addiction, and I'm talking about weed. And nothing wrong with weed, but he's doing like wax. He's going well beyond his means of what he can actually do. He works at Walmart too, as well.
Okay.
And so he had to where I was paying more, well over half of the bills. And on top of that, he has his checks being garnished by child support. So he's working for very little anyways. And Trace, I'm telling you, when I went there from July into October, I went downhill. Not that I got into drugs or anything. It's just that I was so incredibly broke. All my money would go straight up to bills and just a little bit of food, a little bit of gas in the car, and that's it. Nothing else. No money for anything else. Not even a toothbrush, pack of socks, underwear. Couldn't do any of this. And I was so unbelievably miserable. But Mike is all of a sudden splurging his behind off, buying brand new game systems, buying brand new PCs. All of a sudden he has a cat, but then all of a sudden he's buying his cat only wet food, the most expensive wet food imaginable, which is by a brand called Pretty Litter. You ever heard of Pretty Litter?
Yes, of course I do. I know all the cat. I'm the crazy cat lady over here. We know.
Well, the thing is, before I got there, Trace, he was actually about to leave that apartment because he couldn't afford it. So whenever he got me in there, he was buying his cat like the most cheapest of cheap stuff to get her by. But then all of a sudden, because I moved in, he switched her only over to wet food only, and he got her this extremely expensive pretty litter stuff, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're in a situation like him, to where you're barely making it, why would you make that decision to do that?
Right.
Just,
Right.
just because I'm there.
Yep.
And it got to the point, Trace, where he was just basically just laughing in my face that I had no income to do anything else for myself. I couldn't do anything. And he was just getting away with bloody murder. I'm telling you, he was going to concerts. He was going to concerts weekly. All of a sudden, he just had enough money to go on concerts and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if this is right. I don't know if this makes really much sense for me to do this anymore. And he was trying to also, on top of this, Trace, I'm paying well half of the payments to be there. But then he was trying to find different ways to raise my rent. He wanted me to go from paying $450, and he was trying to push for me to pay for $550. I said, Mike, I cannot do this. I don't have the income. I'm barely making it with what I'm doing right now, and I've consistently gave you that $450 each month. And now you're trying to push for me to do more. I can't do this, Mike.
Right.
And so he tried something with me, Trace, and he tried to. I woke up in the morning. Because I have a shift. I work from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. at nights at Walmart, and he works from 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. is what he does. So, anyways, he left out early before me. I wake up. Next, there is a huge sticker or a sticky note on the fridge, and it shows the water bill, and it shows the bill, the overall utilities. And let me show you about this. The previous month's bill was, I think it said $100. No, it said $200, over $200. It was right for utilities altogether.
Yep.
But then the newest bill came out, and it was only $132. And what he wrote on here is, he says, water usage has went up, so we're going to have to talk about your rent being raised up. Trace, when I seen this BS, I instantly got back in my room. I start packing up my stuff. I called up my friend. I said, hey, man, what are you doing today? He says, nothing. What's going on? You need to move me out of here fast. He says, how fast we talking? I need to be out here before 1 p.m. today. Can we do this? He says, let's make it happen, brother. Instantly got all of my junk out of there before 9 a.m. that day. 9 a.m. We got done before 1 p.m. And you know what? The Trace, Mike is one of these guys. He's on drugs really bad. And he's a person that likes to judge people on their appearance. And so his thing is, he would constantly call me big guy, big man, big guy, big man. I told him, I said, Mike, I don't call you little man.
Right.
Can you just call me just Chris, and I call you Mike? Can we just go with that instead?
Right.
And he would never respect it. He would always call me big guy regardless. So, he likes to leave notes a lot for me. So I wrote my first and final note to him, and I wrote on top of his note, I said, last month's bill was higher than this newer month's bill. So how in the world does that justify my rent being raised? And I put a question mark. I said, anyways, I have moved out. I just want to give you this. I said on the note, I said, I hope this note finds you in good spirits, from big man to little man. Signed, Chris Boyd. It's the best. I left that on the fridge for him to find. And I got out of there, Trace. And since there was no contract, I wasn't on the lease or anything. I was able to just leave that situation and go on.
Good. I just want to say real quick, this is such an example of how disgusting people have been since the pandemic.
Yes.
And it's going on. You just provided two great examples, and I obviously want you to keep telling us your story, but you just provided two great examples of people taking advantage of people during this time, and it's been going on since 2020 because
Yeah.
people knew that everybody's desperate, the economy's horrible, and these nasty narcissistic people took full advantage of others during this time. And
Yes.
obviously we know, I mean, I won't get into the drug addict that I was involved with a few years back, that I didn't know. But that amount of money that they're spending for their weed habit, like, and they'll make excuses. Oh, I have a medical marijuana card, whatever people say nowadays. But
Yeah.
when you live with somebody, or like you find out what they're all about when they're not with you or whatever, it's unbelievable. And that changes someone's brain chemistry. They act like little thieves, little sneaks, little rats in a cage, doing dirty things. Like, that's just what ends up happening to people that are involved with anything like that. Like, it's all about the next buzz they're going to get, the next weed they're going to get their hands on. I'm glad you got the heck out of there, because
Yes, I definitely agree because to me he had took on he provided the mask, which is the good guy persona. But then I come to realize that he knows I'm a true believer in God. He is my savior. I know he exists, and I'm very much about my faith. But he's atheist, but that's okay. Whatever. That's what he wants. That's his belief system. But the problem I had with him is that he would constantly say, "Oh, you and your God talk," or "Oh, I'm sorry. I know you believe in God, but I don't." And he ain't did nothing for nobody, so I don't believe in him. I believe in science. I believe in facts, not God. And he would constantly pump that over and over and over. And he knows that I'm a true believer. I didn't respect that from him at all. I mean, I never try to push my "you should believe in God" thing on him. I never try to do that, but he would constantly try to push his own personal belief onto me, and I did not like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we all know what that is inside of him talking. And
Yes,
they don't like Christ. They don't like people that have light inside of them. They don't like people that love the Lord. They don't like it. It makes
they
them very
hate it.
uncomfortable. Yeah, yeah.
Very much so. And I do videos on my own personal Facebook sometimes. A lot of times I do. And I have a lot of faith because after talking with you, there's some people that told me that's like, why don't you, ever do some videos sometimes and, give some inspirational speeches. And that's what I do on my personal Facebook page. And
Oh,
he
May-
he
maybe
started
I
to notice
maybe I won't maybe I won't get off Facebook right away. I
well,
want to get off.
he had started to notice I did videos, and he says, "Yeah." He said, "I noticed you did a video the other day." I said, "Yep." He says, "I think it got like 400 views." I said, "Yep." He says, "Why?" I just don't understand. What are you teaching them about? What are you telling those people about? What God does nothing for anyone. I said, "Okay, all right, sounds good."
Chris, you should start your own YouTube. I think,
Everyone keeps asking me to do
yeah,
that, but I just don't
yeah.
know if I can handle it.
No, no. You know what it is? You know what it is? I'm going to tell you right now. See, I don't go on Facebook to do any of this stuff, because I find Facebook is mostly like friends and family, and they actually are your biggest like complainers, and like like very judgmental. They're just like, "Oh, what is she?" So what, YouTube is where you'll find like-minded people, and you'll find your, genuine people that I guarantee you people are going to leave in the comments on this video. Yes, Chris, please start your own YouTube channel. And then, we can all follow what you have to say, because you have a lot of great things to share and say. So, okay. So I want you to keep going. I know I'm interrupting you.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I forgot to tell you about one instance that was so funny with this roommate. I'll go ahead and I'll move on. But I wanted to tell you about this one. Now, he's a guy that he used to have a truck last year. But he's one of these types that will say he's a self MacGyver. He's a technologically advanced person, is what he says he is. He's a diesel mechanic and this and that, which he's not. But anyways, he knows so much, but he allowed his truck to blow up on him essentially by not putting enough oil in his truck. But yeah, he knows so much. But anyways, since then, he's had to use a bicycle to get to work, and there's nothing wrong with that. He put like a self-installed like motor on his bicycle, and so he's doing that. And then all of a sudden, something started going wrong or haywire with the bike. And so he was constantly buying things from Amazon. So from week to week, this new piece is going to get to be fixed and whatever. And it
Wait a
failed.
minute, wait. I just have to say something. Why do a lot of potheads ride bikes quite often? I just made a correlation. I don't know if it's just me, but a lot of potheads have to go ride their bike.
That's not a correlation. I mean, it's a correlation. You're right. It's not a coincidence on this trace. I don't think it's a coincidence at all. And I know why he let that vehicle blow up on him. It's because he doesn't like. It's because it's supposed to support this darn drug habit. That's what it is.
Yes, you just said it. They're not going to spend
all
money
it
on a car. They're going to spend it on the drugs. You just said it. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Trace, there would be times where we would get paid, and I completely have spent all my money on paying bills and everything. And I know this man got paid exactly the same time as me. And all of a sudden, I would see him give the local dope man $80 on weed, $80, but then turn around and say, "Hey, Chris, we got no bread in the fridge. We got no bread in the cabinet or whatever. We got no cheese. We got no this. You think you can handle that?" I said, "Hell no." I said, "Hell no." I said, because I said, "Look, man, I'm taking care of these really big bills, and you're talking about stuff that you like. I don't like wheat bread. You do." I said, I don't need the cheese. You do. I said, "Look, I'm not going to take care of things that you don't want to take care of just because of your freaking drug habit. I'm not doing it."
Yep.
And so it's just, and his priorities were never in line for a 46-year-old to be. He's 46 years old, but it's just, I felt like I was dealing with a high schooler.
Yep. Because they're arrested. They have arrested development. They're going to be looking for. Then he's going to be he'll be looking for his next roommate as long as he can go. Or they'll be living with they'll be living in the basement of their parents' house forever. Like this is what they do.
Yes, this is precisely what they do. But like I was saying about this bike idea, Trace, is that he had tried to fix this motorized bike of his, and would fail continuously uphill, fail upwards all the time. And so he decides to go ahead and order an e-bike. He decided to go ahead and order an e-bike. Now, all of a sudden, he had money to take care of to go ahead and get an e-bike or whatever.
Yeah. Where's he getting that?
So he orders this e-bike, Trace. And I so happen to be I remember he had left work early 2 days in a row because he kept on expecting his e-bike to be mailed to the place, and it didn't show up. And then on one of the days when I just so happened to be off, which was a Thursday, he was off, and he said, I remember him yelling for me to come into the living room. I said, "Chris, get in here." I said, "Okay, what's going on, man?" He says, "Guess what?" It's like, "What?" "I'm looking on the GPS right now, so for the FedEx guy, and he freaking says he's at this damn bakery." I said, "Okay. What's wrong with that, Mike?" He says, "He's at a freaking bakery instead of here." I said, "Mike," I said, "he probably stopped there to get something to eat, or maybe he's delivering to that shop. You don't know what he's doing. Don't worry about it. You'll get your bike." And then all of a sudden, I said, "You know what? I'm not going to take me a nap."
He's mad because he's buying up all the wheat bread.
I said, "You know what, Mike? I'm going to go ahead and go in my room and take me a nap. I'll talk to you later." 2 hours later go by, and I get up, and he says, "Oh my freaking God." I said, "What is it?" "Guess where he's at right now?" I said, "Where?" "He's at a freaking church." Okay, great. And he says, "I don't know why he's even there, because what does God do? He does nothing for no one. What is he going to be doing? Delivering a bunch of lies?" And instead of even getting into it with him, I said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take me another nap. Talk to you later. I went in my room, shut my door, Trace, and then 3 hours later, come back out. I almost don't even want to come out of my room or
Oh,
anything because
I
this
know that
moron.
feeling.
And I come out to the kitchen and he says, Chris, can you? He said, I don't know what to say. I said, what is it? I looked outside down the road and I see the FedEx guy down the freaking street. I said, okay, what happened? He delivered something. And then what do you know what he did? I said, what did he do? He drove by my freaking address and didn't deliver my bike. I said, where did he go? He's like, he went down to the next freaking town. I'm like,
That's what he gets. The
I was
little
like,
weasel. The little
hey,
weasel trying to get his drugs.
I just said, oh, that's terrible, Mike. Hey, guess what, man? What? I'm gonna go out and go and get me something to eat. I'll be back. Okay. Talk to you a little bit later. I purposely left. I didn't even go there because I didn't have anybody to get any food. I just went to my local lake area, just sat by the lake and just thought about my life and just sat there for a while and just wanted to get away from him because he was such a moronic person to where I just didn't even want to deal with him. Yeah. And so Trace, okay. So the next day, the bike finally freaking arrived. He's like a kid on Christmas Day, jumping up and down, literally jumping up and down. But Chris, I got my bike. I was like, that's wonderful, dude. So he gets the bike, Trace, and I go in my room. I'm playing the video game, just trying to keep my mind off things. And I come back out 2 hours later, and he's standing over his bike. The bike is all over the freaking floor. I'm like, so how's it going with playing together? He says, I don't know what's going on. And I'm messing with the switches and everything. I wanted to modify it a bit, with the settings, and I can't seem to get it to turn on. Maybe once I put it together, maybe it'll turn on. I said, why did you mess with the settings anyway? He said, because I wanted to make sure that it has the right specs that I want, Chris. You know I'm a MacGyver type of guy. I like to switch things up. Okay. Hey. 2 hours later, I come back out to this mess. The bike is fully assembled, but it will not turn on. It will not turn off.
We all know it. Wait a minute. We all know he was smoking weed while he was trying to get this bike together. We all know he was high as a kite.
It's like, Chris, it won't freaking turn on. I'm sorry to cuss, but he said it won't freaking turn on. I don't know what I've done wrong. He said, I messed with the switch. I said, maybe because you altered it. Why did you mess with the switches? You should have just first test it out with its normal settings and then go into doing this stuff. Like, you don't do this type of stuff right off the bat. He says, Chris, what do you know about e-bikes? I said, you know what? Not a darn thing. Guess what? It's none of my business. Talk to you later. And then I got my door shut to my room, and I'm hearing him on the phone with this company, cussing them out and threatening them with a lawyer that he does not have, cannot afford, on no level. And he said, you know what? If you don't get me another bike, if you don't give me another replacement bike, I'm going to sue you guys, okay? I'm going to get my lawyer. It's just ridiculousness. I'm telling you right now, this is ridiculous. And it was a whole ordeal over a 2-week period. They sent him another battery. They sent him another module thing or whatever for this freaking e-bike thing. They sent him so many pieces, parts and pieces, and it never worked. He never got it to work. I mean, complete karma. Karma.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I guarantee you it was like something so little, but he's got pothead brain and he didn't pick up on any of it. I wonder to this day if he's got his
No, in fact, and the original bike that I told you that he self-installed that motor on still to this day sits on that pole outside of his apartment, and it does not move. He's walking right now. In fact, I drove past him just the other week, and Trace, this man looked like a hobo. He had this big, oversized puffer green jacket. He had his big beady eyes with his glasses sticking out over his skull cap. And he noticed me driving by because he knows my car. And he's like, he had this weird look like he was angry, like he was cussing me out while walking back home. And it was freezing cold. It was freezing cold that week too. So I know he was cold, Trace.
Oh
He looked like
God.
a homeless guy.
Oh my God. I'm so glad you got away from this. Like, you see, that's the thing about it. Miles must have been rubbing on my microphone over here. That's the thing about it. It's like once you've been through this kind of crap, you're not about to go through like any more of it. And the minute you see it, you're like, oh no, I gotta go. Not
Yep.
dealing with you.
Yeah, when he tried to raise that rent up to,
Yep.
I was paying 450, and I barely could get by, and then he said, "Oh, we're gonna have to raise it to 550." Over an arbitrary reason because the water usage went up a little bit, but yet the overall bill was way substantially lower. I was done. I had to go. I said I gotta go.
Yep. Yep.
And so luckily, my friend Teresa and her husband, Gene, I've known them for years and stuff working at Walmart. Actually, I asked them if I could possibly stay with them until I get on my feet, and they did invite me on in. So I had moved in with them on October, and then I reached out to my brother TJ, and my brother, I was talking with him. I'm like, look, man, I'm at my road's end right now. I said, I really need some help to find a better job right now. I said, because Walmart's just not paying enough, and I'm really needing to get out of this hole. I said, I need to get my own place again. And
Yeah.
so he said, well, Chris, he says, let me go ahead and make some phone calls to see what I can come up with. Just hang tight. And within 2 days, he called me back. He says, hey, Chris, there's this guy named Tim. He's the manager of Best One over in St. Louis. He says to go ahead and give him a call and you guys talk. He said, I think he's got an opportunity for you that can play to your strengths. I said, okay, let's see what this is about. I spoke with Tim for about like 30 minutes, and he says, Chris, I have this job to where you would be delivering tires to different sections and stuff of for a Beal. We have a contract with Beelman Trucking Company, and we deliver tires to them. But we need somebody who has a CDO Class A license, which your brother tells me you do have.
Yep.
He says we need somebody that's strong that can be able to handle those tires. And he says, Chris, if you're interested, he says I could take care of you, and we can get you on your feet again. So it's so weird that Martin Brower was paying me $28 an hour, but you see, they had people who were handling the payroll who were truck drivers. They were not accountants. And so it's funny, with this new job, I made $23 an hour, but yet I made pretty much the same amount that I did when I was making $28 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I can see now that they were not really handling their business right with paying workers the proper way. I can see that now from Martin Brower. But now, Trace, I got into the place now where I deliver tires in a place in my strengths. I know how to handle a box truck very well. And I get up each and every day now excited to go to work. I'm happy to go to work. And I feel
I'm
like,
so happy to hear this.
yes, and I feel like I finally found something that plays into my strengths fully. And it's the right type of amount of work to where I'm not sitting on my feet so long and hurting my feet like at Walmart, or I'm not sitting so long for long periods like at Martin Brower. And it led to me getting more bigger and getting to even more unhealthy weight. But with this, it's a right mixture of standing and sitting. So where now I'm losing weight gradually. I'm actually feeling way better than I ever have in a long time. And my spiritual belief has never been any stronger. Never been any stronger. My happiness level has never been any stronger than it has in several years. And I also I was able to find me another place, actually a duplex where I live at. I'm going to be moving into there on my official move-in day is on January 11th. And so
Yay!
it's a two
Oh,
yeah, it's a two-bedroom apartment. It has a bathroom. It has a walk-in shower apparently, and it also has a garage into it. It's like it's a duplex. So I have one neighbor right next to me, but
yep,
that's okay. And
yep.
it's at a very convenient spot because it's only 12 minutes away from my truck where I pick it up, and then I can go ahead and make my commute to my job to deliver those tires. So like only living 12 minutes away from my job essentially is perfect.
Oh, see how that all worked out. It's so crazy because as you were telling your story of what went on this year, I was like, oh God. I said, I was thinking to myself, because I used to help people find jobs. That's what I did for like a long time. And I was like, oh, I could get you something better. I could get you something better. I know I could. I was thinking in my head that like the whole time you're telling me, but see, and that's so God right there. Like, and what
Yes.
I love about your story that happened this to you this year is like you just the word that comes to mind is resilience. Like
Yes.
you just weren't going to give up. You took, you went back to Walmart. You knew that you had to get something, but you also know the value of your worth, and you know that like, you went and you went and got that license that took a lot of hours, a lot of your time, and it was just a matter of finding a company that could see the value of your worth, and finding a healthy company to work for nowadays. It's tougher than it ever was, but like, the fact that your brother knew someone, that's perfect. That's like, that was all meant to be. And
Yes.
it was a hiccup in the road. I mean, and you didn't let that, get you to the point where like you were down and out and depressed, and you were like, no, I just got to get out of here and I got to keep going. Like
Yeah.
that's just such a great motive for people to hear. I'm so happy for you. That's awesome.
Yes. And when I want to tell everybody whoever watches this video is I understand that we all have our bumps in the road. We have these, big, huge falls, but please keep your resilience, just like what Trace said, resilience. Keep your resilience and keep faith that something better can come along. Just keep maintaining your strength, maintain your consistency, and you will be on your way again. You will get back on the path. It just takes a little bit, but trust me, if you keep your faith, everything will work out.
Yes. And you're still going to church, I see. Because
Yes, I
we were
am
trying to
very much
find
so.
a we were trying to find a time, and you're like, oh, I got to go to church at that time. I'm like, yes, okay, you do that. That's much more important.
And then another thing too, what's wonderful is throughout since me and my brother have been talking and stuff again, and he's gotten back into my life. He led me to one person. Her name's Becky. She's a much older lady, but you see, she had gave me some help with some different things, helped me with a few other things, and then she had convinced me to come back to church. I said, okay, I'll go with you to church. And since doing that with her, I know she had talked to me. We sat down. She said, Chris, she said, me and my husband, we just think you are such a great, good guy. And we've known TJ for a long time. And we noticed that it seems like you have such a good head on your shoulders about things. But we know that you have some chinks in your armor that you're trying to get better at or more financially. And we just want to know, would you be okay with us basically being like your mentors? We could show you a lot of different things. We could show you how to get some things taken care of. Would you be okay with this? I said, yes. So to have a mentor opportunity is really nice. I like that too.
Yeah, and especially if it's people that you trust,
Yes.
I always just remind people, there are people that are out there, and they really just want to help, and that's just it. Like, they don't have any motives behind it. They don't have any like reason why they're doing it other than that they have a kind heart and soul and they want to help. And then there's some people out there that like they start off like that, and then it's just because they want to start controlling your life, and like, you know, the
Yes.
difference. Like, you know, they start telling you like how to dress, like what you should say, not say, and did you just swear over there? Like, you shouldn't do that, and you know, you should do this, and you know, what kind of car are you driving? And they start doing all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, okay, buddy, I know what you do. I know what
Yeah,
you're all
I
about.
had ran into that situation when my mom had freshly passed in 2021. I remember I told you the story about Christine, right?
Yes,
Remember Christine? She was that type of person that posed.
yes,
She was the narcissist that posed as the mentor, but was
yep.
really not the mentor at all.
Yep. They're there to like judge you and like have like a little puppet that they think that they can control, and like it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, perfect example was Christine. Yep.
And then I will always remember hear her say every time she would want me to do something or something I didn't feel comfortable with, she says, either you do this or we can't be friends. She would always say that. That was like her big major catchphrase. Either you do this or we can't be friends. You know, and so yeah.
That story of her was wild. She was as nuts as it gets.
I'm telling you now. And then, oh yeah, by the way, I had to go ahead and let go of my cat tails, fortunately, because whenever I was trying to find a place to stay, you know, in July, I I had got away with being able to keep my cat tails with me with the situation with that mic situation. And but the thing is though, I noticed that he would constantly use that as a weapon against me with different things with my cat. And when I had moved here to Teresa's place, my friend Teresa and Jean, they don't really have any cats or anything. So what I had to do is I said, you know what? I said, I don't really have a stable place for my cat right now. I said, so the best thing I could do is take him to a place where he can get possibly rehomed or something, you know, and then it'll be more of a stable life for him. It was more so about a stable life for him.
Right.
So I went and took him to an animal control place because they don't put them down. They don't put them down or anything. They just move them to different places until he can actually get a home. Well, anyways, when I did that, automatically the next day, guess who contacts me? Christine. She said,
She saw that he was there.
yes,
Cat.
you saw that. And she contacted me and said, hey, did you get rid of Tails? I said, well, actually, I had to kind of give a rights to him because I don't have a stable place for him to stay right now. So I just couldn't keep up with him, honestly. But hopefully he'll get rehomed. She said, well, I just want to tell you that I'm sorry about how I treated you some years ago, and I hope we can rekindle our friendship. Now, me, at first I was like, yeah, I would like that. I actually was kind of falling for it, but then she's like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, and I hope we can be friends again. Yeah. And then she started getting into, she said, so what is Tails like? Does Tails okay with other cats? I said, yeah, he's okay with other cats. He doesn't have any trouble with people or anything. Oh, okay, then, well, I'll talk to you later. And then Trace, I never heard from her ever again.
She took the cat.
So she went ahead and got Tails. And, you know, the thing I know about Christine is that she's more so she's an animal person more so than the people person.
Yeah.
She's the type that likes to splurge on cats and stuff and acts really weird and mean with people. So I'm like, well, okay. So I said, at least I can know he'll be taken care of, and he'll be cared for and everything. So fine, take the cat back.
I mean, the cat. If she's insulting the cat and calling the cat names, you know, or whatever, the cat's not gonna know. You know, I mean, she wasn't like a physically abusive person, not that we know of, but like, you know, yeah, I know those kind of people that they're better. They actually just should stay home with their cats and not go out into the world.
Yeah, yes. And so that's why I'm just like, at first I was upset. Like, you mean somebody she only reached out to me just to talk about my cat? And I just, you know what? I just thought,
it's so weird, like that
it's
she
okay.
like wanted your cat. You know what I mean? Because she's such a weirdo.
I just said, all right, fine, take the cat. I said, just take care of him or whatever, you know, and just be good to him. And because I just wasn't in the situation to where even at this place that I'm getting, this apartment, I mean, this duplex, They don't allow cats. So it just seems like God kind of removed that from me, so that way I can have a better chance of getting this place for
Yeah.
myself. And I'm telling you, this place is so nice and beautiful, Trace. It's something that it's a huge upgrade from my last apartment. The other apartment, I'm telling you, was not that nice. Not very good at all. But this place, this is it. This is it
That's
right here.
awesome. I'm so see, I knew when you said you had some great news to share. I'm like, this is so important for people to hear in the narcissistic abuse community because I tend to have people on that we're talking about what happened and this and that, but no one really hears about the successes that come after like you put yourself first.
Yeah,
And it's just, again, it's a great reminder to everybody out there that don't let these little like forks in the road. There's going to be more things that go on after you get these people out of your life that you're going to have to navigate through. And God doesn't ever he's never going to forget about you. Like he has plans for you, right? That a lot of the time you don't realize it, but he does. And you think of these setbacks that you've had, and that could have been a real like downward spiral if you had let it mentally, but like the resilience and everything you've already been through was really what I believe and your attitude that you wake up and choose to have every day, because that's your God-given spirit and no one can take that away from you, like you said,
precisely.
your ability to shine and be happy and and all of that. um
And you're right about that, Trace. And I know sometimes I come across people that will tell me that, Chris, I know you're a good person, but I think your happiness is kind of overbearing at times. I've come across a lot of people who tell me that sometimes. Some people tell me that, haters tell me that, but a majority of people tell me that, Chris, whenever I see you, especially when I was working at Walmart from April into October, they would say, Chris, I get so excited to see you. I love your smile. I love your vibrant personality. I was working in the OGP section. I was working as a dispenser. I would carry out groceries to customers' car out in the parking lot at Walmart. And they would say, Chris, whenever I come here, I hope it's you who's delivering my groceries, because everybody else, I'm sorry to say, your coworkers are sourpusses. But whenever I see you, Chris, I get excited because I know I'm going to have a good experience, and you always brighten me up with your conversation. So you see, Trey, yeah,
Even my best friend Michelle is always asking about you. Have you heard from Chris? Are you gonna have Chris on the channel again? Like, and she's one of the most genuine people I am blessed to call my best friend. And the other people on the channel too, like I was saying, like you can tell that about you, and it's not fake, it's not phony. And people nowadays like really crave that in other people because it's lacking so much, and I just came across it was just the other day. It was a therapist. It was a licensed therapist that had her own handle on TikTok. I don't know who I don't know who she was. But she was talking about how people actually don't people are very jealous of happy people, and they'll show that, they'll openly show that, like, they don't like you, that you automatically, if you're an authentic, genuine, happy person, you're going to have a lot of people that just automatically don't like you. And I'm like, wow, don't we know that story? Like, even as
yes,
kids, like, do you feel that way as, like, even as a kid, like, just some people just didn't like you and you didn't know why, and then now you think back, you're like, they were absolutely miserable. And it was
yes,
sad because, like, they didn't maybe have a good childhood or whatever was creating that on them. But it's not our fault that we really, like, want to be happy and bubbly and
yes,
kind. Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
I know. I know, and I'm just so proud. I'm super proud of you to get to this place. I know your whole life story and everything that got you here. And again, to everybody that's watching, like, God is great and He is so real. And I know Chris agrees. Like, we wouldn't be where we're at without God. It's
Oh,
not
but
even
not.
possible.
That's you're right. Very much so right.
Yeah. The blessings that have been bestowed in our life as a, big or small, even listening to your story, Chris, for this past year, listening to what happened this past year, even the blessing of finding that job like right after, like it was something, that's a blessing, like, because I'm working with people right now. I just got on a few more people recently, and they've been looking for work for well over a year. And it's like, oh boy, and then they come on to me, they come onto my caseload, and it's my job to find them work. And I'm like, am I even going to be able to do it if they couldn't do it? And I'm looking at like their resume, their cover letters. It's a lot of companies are putting out these, like, they call them ghost jobs, and they're putting out jobs that actually don't exist.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and they're trying to it has to do with the PPP loans that people went after during the pandemic that they didn't need, so they're trying to make it seem like they have other jobs that they do. It's this whole thing that that companies are doing. But anyway, I could go on and on about it. I'm so happy that you had some great news to share with the channel. Are you still designing clothes?
I want to again. I want to definitely pick up that again. I would really like to try to do something with the idea of Geo Phoenix, because I know that's what I would like to name it someday. I really have so many different ideas. I just need some backing, and what I really need is like some type of business type of partner that can help me to at least figure out how to source the materials and things of that nature, or maybe how to get a loan. I just wish I had somebody that could help me to kind of like get started on how to actually go about doing that, to get on the road for that. But I haven't given up on it. It's still one of my biggest passions. I would like to do that eventually. Yes.
Awesome. Well, let's talk some more. Let's talk some more after the holidays. After you get settled in your new place, I might have some ideas for you, and
Okay.
and some people to talk to, at least to get the conversation started. But yeah. Well, listen. Thank you so much for coming on the channel. I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes after we just shut everybody off here. But guys, leave in the comments for Chris just how this experience he's had in the last year is encouraging for everyone to just stay the course. And it's always a pleasure having you on the channel, and we'll have you on some more.
Yes.
We won't let 2 years go by this time.
Okay.
I can't
Yeah.
believe it's already been 2 years. That's nuts. But thank you guys. Thank you everybody for watching, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and the like button, and share the videos that are helpful to you. And thanks for being here, everyone. I'm Trace Face. It's time to tell the truth.
Yeah, bye bye.